Congratulations for completing Module 2. Now Module 3, all about branding. The first thing we have to do is understand why is it important to create branding and what is branding? To me, it's the culmination of every touch point that you have with your consumer, with your patient. And we're going to talk about what visual branding is and storytelling and crafting a message that resonates with the right audience. We're going to talk about how to build promotional campaigns that bring in more of the desired audience that you're looking for. And lastly, we're going to help craft the perfect brand message that you and your staff can really stand behind in order to take your practice forward. All right, and welcome to Module 3. This one is all about branding. And we're going to really talk about just kind of the whole enchilada about your brand and how we can ensure that you create a brand that matters and create it consistent for all of your patients moving forward. So moving forward, let's talk about the benefits of branding. And there really are a plethora of benefits of building a brand over what I like to refer to as a commodity business. And a commodity business is defined as someone who chooses you because of price or convenience. When you are a brand, people choose you because of what you stand for and the value that you bring to them. So when we look at the benefits, let's focus on these four, and we're going to dive into them. Number one is premium pricing. You're going to find the right patients. You can sustain your revenue and your growth, and it protects you from competitors that are coming into the market. So let's look at premium pricing. We know that consumers are willing to pay a 20% premium for a brand that they trust. Think about that. People are willing to pay 20% for the same experience from a brand that they know and trust. So right off the bat, that sort of eliminates I choose you because you are the cheapest. It's that they trust you, they're willing to pay more for that trust. And I want you to think about salt. This is like the ultimate commodity. And if you think about the white table salt, everyone has, you grew up with it, everybody has this in their kitchen. And then you look at the pink Himalayan salt. And I'm going to ask you, the audience here looking at this course, how many of you have pink Himalayan salt in your house? And the question I'm going to ask is why? And when I ask this question to live audiences, what I hear back is that it tastes better and there's health benefits, which in fact are both not true. Pink Himalayan salt actually just comes from a particular cave, and when they mine it, it's just rust. It's a particular salt that has been rusted from where it's actually physically located. There have been no proven health benefits, and there's been no proven science behind the taste. And so we are willing to pay more for pink Himalayan salt, even 16 times more, and we all have it because it's a brand that we identify with, that we want something different and unique, even though it doesn't actually present or represent anything that's really unique or different other than a color. So, if you can be the pink Himalayan salt in your business, you can start charging more because you've created value behind your product. The next one's attracting the right patients, and this is all about associating your name with feeling and meaning. So when you do marketing and messaging and you create your USP and your secondary value propositions, create your core values and share those core values as a company. And once you share your core values, it attracts the customers and patients and consumers and all those people that share the same core values as you. People look to do business with companies that represent them in some way. So put out there in the world what your core values are, and you're going to start seeing the people that you want to deal with that share those same core values coming back to you. Creating a brand creates sustainability for new patient inflow. It's a long-term strategy, but building a brand means that you have to worry less about patient acquisition because you're attracting new patients all the time. And I ask the question to people, if you were to never see a McDonald's ad the rest of your life, and you now fast forward to your deathbed and you lay there and somebody asks you, do you want a Big Mac? You will know for the rest of your life what company makes a Big Mac, and it's because they've invested in a brand for so long that it is ingrained in who we are. And so when you think about a fast food hamburger, you think about a Big Mac, you think about McDonald's, and so they've created that. And so can you, on a smaller scale, do that in your business, that when someone thinks about high quality fashion frames, service, and a great overall experience in optometrists, they think about your brand and what do you want to be known for. I mean, it also absolutely helps protect yourself from competitive entry. So if you do the same thing as everyone else, competitors come in and they replicate it easily. And it's much harder to replicate a company that inspires a feeling and meaning. It's sort of like, think about Apple and what the feeling is when you open up a new iPad or you open up a new MacBook. Certain people will only buy Apple products because of the feeling and meaning, even though potentially there's better technology on the market. There are still consumers that will only go with Apple because they identify with the feeling and meaning that the company portrays. So I want you to think about this exercise, and I want you to think about these three industries: a car manufacturer, coffee company, and a fitness studio. And think about the three companies in your life that you identify with the most. So which car do you drive, which coffee do you drink, and what fitness studio do you go to? And I want you to ask yourself the question on the right: how easily could you make a switch to a new provider? How easily could you switch coffee companies? How easily could you switch cars that you drive? And how easily could you switch the fitness studio that you go to? And then think like, what keeps you loyal to them? And what would actually cause you to switch? Because you want to identify those, because in your world, what are you doing that keeps patients loyal? And what are other people doing that causes them to switch? And what are they looking for that would cause a switch and come and have them come over to you? So just think about in your life the companies that you are really loyal to and what they're doing really well that keeps you being loyal. And what are the small things that create cracks in that relationship that cause you to look elsewhere? And then apply that same logic to your business, because I think it will really help frame up the whole branding conversation for you. When you're creating a brand, consistency matters so much. And why is it important? Because creating an expectation, when somebody walks into your business, they have an expectation of what they're going to be receiving. And so meeting and exceeding that expectation is all about owning the brand. And we go back to the McDonald's example. I don't care what country you're in, you go and have a Big Mac, the Big Mac should be made the exact same way. And so if it was totally different restaurant to restaurant, people wouldn't be going there for a Big Mac anymore. They would just be going there because of whatever other reason. And so in your business, what are you doing to create consistency? And I want you to think about these three companies. So I have McDonald's there, but I want you to think about IKEA and Disney. And what are they doing to create consistency? When you go to Disney, it's that wonderful, magical world, and every moment is about making a dream come reality. IKEA, and I make a joke, people love to go to IKEA and they love to shop in the experience there because of the open concept, and there's so many options and the food and all of that. But then when you get home, what's the experience? It's about building furniture yourself, and you have those sort of frustrating moments. And so to me, it's sort of there's positive and negatives with IKEA. And then McDonald's, again, there's a consistency in how the food is made, the colors that they use inside the restaurants, even just like how the menus are displayed. So what can you do to create consistency so that you meet expectations? Moving on to visual branding, it's so much more than just pretty colors and fonts. The visual identity tells the story of who you are, and it will definitely say the experience that your patients can expect, as well as the price point. If you are a higher end optical and you expect to sell higher end frames, what is your visual branding telling you? If you're more modern and using kind of innovative technology, what does your visual branding say about that? And when it comes down to it, visual branding really is all about psychology. It's about telling your customers who you are and what they can expect from looking at fonts and colors. So when we started, the first thing, it's a logo. And when you're building a company logo, and you may be somebody that's had it for 30 years, never going to change it, or someone that's considering making a change, regardless, when you're looking at building a company logo, number one is keep it simple. Two is research your competitors and make sure that your logo represents you. It has to represent who you are as a owner and who you are as a company and the DNA that you have, because again, it's putting out into the world who you are. You want to attract like-minded patients that come in. And third one is you also want to build your logo for your target market, the patients that you want to see, not just the patients you are seeing. So if you are identifying that you want to go more medical, or you want to see more baby boomers, or go the other way and start seeing more families and more millennials, then your logo should represent the type of company that these people want to do business with. And so working with a graphic designer, they can help you establish that, but just keep these 3 rules in mind when you're working with them. When you're choosing your colors, it's really important because colors evoke emotions. And choosing colors is about choosing the emotion you want associated with your brand. So here I have red as the example. There's probably a reason that not a lot of people have red in their business, like just red walls painted everywhere. It does create adrenaline and passion and fire and desire and all of those things, and sort of gets the heart racing. And so if you want that established with your brand, great. If not, like sports teams, a lot of sports teams have red associated because it fires you up and it's ready for that passion and desire. If you look at orange, this is like kind of Nickelodeon logo. This one represents energy and friendly, and it's cheerful, and so it's kind of youthful, and that's sort of the color associated, or the emotions associated. Blue, which is very popular with optometry and medical in general, it's because blue conveys trustworthiness and responsibility and security. And so when you're looking at those colors, really think about what emotions does your brand represent? What emotions do you want your patients to feel when they look at your logo, and choose your colors accordingly. Now, when you're doing multiple colors, it can be effective to choose contrasting colors. So when you look at the color wheel, you may choose a blue, and then maybe a contrasting color would be an orange or a red. A lot of people pair blues and greens together, a little bit more similar, but when you look at contrasting colors, it's great because it actually stands out when patients are looking. And you think about signage and exterior signage, and it's not just what's on a website, it's also when people are driving by on the street, what is going to attract their eye to your logo versus every other sign that they're driving by. Those are the things to keep in mind when you're choosing your colors. Now, fonts, the typeface of fonts says a lot about who you are and who your brand is. And here in the top, you can see it's what's called a serif font. And the serif has kind of the little, the endings. If you imagine you're writing with like an old school feather pen, this is what you would see. Whereas a sans serif font means that you have the absence of the little strokes at the end. And so with the top one, the serif fonts represent traditional, more of a heritage type of brand, whereas the bottom one will represent more of a modern and contemporary font. So based on, again, who you are and who you're trying to attract, the font type really does matter in trying to attract the right person. When you build your brand guidelines, it's important to create that document that outlines anyone that's going to work with your brand that they need to follow these guidelines. It ensures consistency, professionalism, and absolutely an accurate representation of who you are. I have seen so many times that a sign goes up and it's 5 shades of a different color of a blue, or fonts are just used freely because, yeah, it's close enough on our patient intake form. But imagine you're the patient, you're the consumer sitting there, and you're seeing different type fonts and you're seeing different colors, and it just seems completely unprofessional. And so what level of service do you expect to get when they can't even consistently create a brand image? And so that's sort of the table stakes of when you're doing branding, and it all kind of comes into a great brand guideline book. When you work with a graphic designer, they should be able to create this for you. So when you're creating newspaper ads or print ads, or working with a direct mail company or a signage company, you would send them this to make sure that they are very consistent with the overall approach to your brand. So I want you to take let's do an exercise. I want you to take 10 minutes, and I want you to look at the branding of 2 of your competitors in the area. And I want you to specifically look at the colors they use, the fonts they use. Is it classic? Is it modern? Can you determine who their target demographic is based on this branding? And what is their tone of voice? What's the language they're using on their website? Is it formal? Is it informal? And then I want you to think about what differentiates them from their competition, which is like you. So take a second and really dive into 2 of the main competitors in your area and look at these things and fill out the workbook so that you have a better idea about who your competitors are, what they're doing with their branding, so that you can either identify, is there an option for me to fill an unused market? If they're all saying the same thing, doing the same thing, representing themselves in the same way, can you take sort of a right turn and go after the other side of the market? So take 10 minutes, fill out the workbook, and once you're done, rejoin me and unpause the video. So welcome back. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling, and specifically to the audience. And every company, I don't care who you are, they have a story to tell. The who, what, when, why, it's all unique to you. When you started your company is unique. The who works there is unique. The what you do and the why you do it is unique. And so some companies do a great job in telling the story, and it attracts certain consumers. And here I have a picture of Costa that has the new fishing net sunglasses. And so what they've done is they've recycled old fishing nets that typically end up at the bottom of the ocean because fishermen are being charged by weight. So they cut the fishing net to the bottom of the ocean, so they're not paying for that. And Costa came along and said, hey, we're going to buy those fishing nets from you. And they turned them into the frames on the sunglasses, which is like a recycling movement, which is doing some social good. And when you do that, you have a very unique story to say, this is why these frames are different, why you might want to buy them. And so they're doing an excellent job telling that story. So what about in your company can you do that tells your unique story? And defining that is really important. And so let's do an exercise. And I want you to take some time and write down your entire story, the why you created your company. Did you buy into it? Did you start it yourself? What year was that? And what was the reason that you started it yourself? What's the reason you exist? And then I want you to identify in that story, what do your patients currently care about? Is it more about you, or how does it affect them? What are they going to latch onto to say, yes, I agree with the story. I empathize with this and I want to be part of the story. And once you have that nailed down, is there a creative way to start telling a story? Can you do it through social media, through video? Can you do it through blog posting, or just signage, or the way you design your opticals? So take some time, write down the story, identify what patients care about, and then think about creative ways that you can start telling your story. And that will really help, again, frame the storytelling aspect moving forward. Once you've done that, please resume the video. So now that we have sort of our storytelling built out, let's talk about building branded promotional campaigns. So many people build promotional campaigns and they have no idea how to use it and leverage it to bring in new patients in the door. And what they end up doing is they just give away bottom line profit to people that are already at the till ready to buy from you, and you go, oh, did you know this is on sale? And you discount the frame that they otherwise would have already bought at full rate. And so when you create promotional campaigns, the idea is to advertise to the world so that you can attract more patients to your business. And so creating a promotional campaign, it's important to come up with what a campaign that people care about, targeting the message to the person that will actually care about it. So if it's fashion, you're targeting the people that care about fashion. If it's about value, people that care about value. If it's about service, people that truly care about service. And so the campaigns in general should just advertise to attract higher quantity and quality of patients to your practice. So number one is I want you to create a campaign that people actually care about. No one cares about 5% off. And if you come up with a campaign that's 5% off, it will be forgotten as quickly as it came. And then you build the campaigns for people you actually want in your practice. Again, if you want millennials or baby boomers or families, start building promotions that are going to reach and attract those people, and then advertise to where they are. So if they're on social media, advertise on social. If they're in and reading a newspaper, advertise in the newspaper. And if they're sitting at home, send them a direct mail piece that actually makes it to their mailbox. And that's how we start building branded promotional campaigns that actually matter and work. So here's an exercise, and I want you to build a concept for every month of the calendar year. And you may not launch a promotional campaign every month, but I want you to at least plan out what it could be and have fun with it. Involve your staff. It's a great staff meeting activity. And think about the patients that you want to see. So in January, we have here New Year, New You, 25% off frames. In February, there's a Valentine's Day offer. You know, then we have things like Easter, and we have Independence Day, and we have back to school, and use your benefits. We have World Vision Week. We have so many different things that we can do. Think about 12 different promotions that you could run. And not every promotion has to be a discount. You may be a high-end retailer that does not want a discount, and that's fine. Then think about the promotion can be about promoting the brand and identifying and educating people about the brands that you carry. And maybe March is all about this particular brand, and it's coming in doing a trunk show, and it's showcasing the benefits, and it's letting people come in and try them on, and maybe bringing in a rep to come in and explain the value of the brand. So think about every month, fill it out, and then rejoin me when you're completed. When you're talking about brand messaging, it is similar to storytelling, but it's more about policy than it is substance. So when you're creating your brand messaging guidelines, this is all about the do's and don'ts. So you think about Nike, the do's are empowerment, positive language, equality. The don'ts are win at all costs, poor sportsmanship. You will never see those types of messaging in anything Nike puts out, but you will see messaging about empowerment and positive language. So when you are creating your do's and don'ts list, when it comes to your brand messaging, this is the language that's going to show up on patient forms, your advertising, your messaging, your social media responses, how you respond to online reviews, how you greet patients, how you talk to them in the waiting room, and how you conduct your exams. It's important to kind of put the rules of engagement out for all your staff. Create a list of we do this, we don't do this. And it could even be jargon. It could be the language we use, is that we don't use acronyms, is that we actually take the time to educate our patients about what the eye exam is and all the things that we do and what we're looking for. So take some time, create a do's and don't list when it comes to messaging for you and your patients. And when you're done, please rejoin me. So welcome back and thank you. That concludes the third module of this course. I think we've done some great work here in determining brand messaging and overall visual identity. Next, I look forward to working with you in Module 4.